So I found out about an organization called BikeLeague.org last year through BikingLasVegas.com website. And what this organization does is they rank all 50 states in terms of how friendly they are for cyclists, things like how educated are the drivers, are they encouraging people to cycle, how's the infrastructure for cyclists, and so on and so forth. And Nevada always ranks higher than I expect. I think last year also we were 31st out of 50 or somewhere around there. Anyways, for 2017 we're 31st out of 50 states. It's broken down into sections, like one of them's infrastructure and funding, education and encouragement, legislation and enforcement, policies and programs, evaluation and planning. And for example, infrastructure and funding, we're ranked 23rd out of 50 states. And then they have like subcategories: design and existence of infrastructure. We got like 14 out of 38 possible points. That might seem kind of low. We do have 400 miles of bike lanes here in Nevada, or in Las Vegas, I should say. But a lot of these bike lanes are really afterthoughts. Like over the years, the city planners seem to have said, we need to have more bike lanes to make the city better. So they'll put a bike lane, like on some 6-lane street, and they'll make the shoulder a little less wide. They'll stick a bike lane in there, and then they'll say, look, we added bike lanes on this road and this road and this road, which is good, but the problem here is that a lot of these roads, the speed limit's 45, and some of these people are doing like 60 or 65 miles an hour down these roads, and here you are, cyclists, maybe going between 10 and 20 miles an hour in this bike lane, and you are literally invisible on a bicycle here. Nobody sees you. I've been literally at a stop sign, a 4-way stop sign, and I had to ride away, and I start going, and the car, to my left doesn't even see me. I start turning, they're like, oh, they stomp on the brakes, like, oh, where'd you come from? So some of that stuff, I can see why we score low. Another category is legislation and enforcement. We're ranked 4th out of 50 states. That's great. Laws that regulate driver behavior, methods of enforcement, laws that restrict the behavior of people who bike and walk, things along those lines. Okay, well, that's great. But we still have like record high number of pedestrians killed this year. When the year's not over, we're at 59 pedestrians killed by cars and 8 cyclists so far. We seem to have about 1 cyclist a month, which I guess for a city of 2 million people, maybe that's not bad, but I'm frankly surprised that we don't have like 4 times that amount with the way people drive around here. Anyways, another category is policies and programs. We're ranked 44th out of 50 states. And that's just stuff like, well, one of the big ones where we fail is complete streets. Does the state have complete streets policy and processes to support its implementation? 6 out of 56 points. So apparently there's no planning for cycling. And then another category is evaluation and planning. We're ranked 28th out of 50. And then where we really, really fail, and I'm not surprised at all, is education and encouragement. We're ranked 48th out of 50 states. And like, for example, mode share. Do many people bike to work, and is that number increasing relative to other modes? 0 out of 30 points. And frankly, here in Vegas, you don't see people cycling much unless you go like up to Blue Diamond or Red Rock, you might see a lot of cyclists going up Highway 159. But generally, I mean, I don't see people cycling to work. If I do see people on a bike, they're usually riding on the sidewalk, going, you know, like 5 miles an hour, no helmet. You know, they're like not even recreational cyclists. They're just like what I would have thought of as of a cyclist before I got into cycling a couple years ago. Anyways, and I think that's part of the reason why drivers here think that, oh, if you're on a bicycle, you're supposed to be on the sidewalk. You know, like, what the hell are you doing in the bike lane? You're not supposed to be on the street. You're supposed to be on the sidewalk. What the, you know, what, WTF? That's like the attitude. And the thing, this really goes along with what I was saying in my previous video. In the same category, education and encouragement, driver education requirements. Does the state require drivers to answer questions about bicyclist safety as part of the driver's licensing test? 5 out of 20 points. You know, I don't even think well, it's been many, many years since I've taken the driving test. My daughter will be taking it, getting her learner's permit in the next few weeks. So I will ask her what kind of questions were on that test about cycling, but judging from how people react to cyclists on the road and stuff, I'm going to say probably the only thing that's on that test is like, you know, do you know what a bike lane is? Or something, you know, really lame like that. So we really, really fall down on driver education requirements. And then in that same category, education and encouragement, advocacy. Does the state have a bicycle advocacy group that is a member of the League of American Bicyclists or was identified by the state? 0 out of 15 points. There's basically there's no representation from the Bicycle League here, basically. And one of the reasons why they say we scored as low as we did was because 85% of the state is owned by BLM, and you know, there's just really no, you know, there's no cohesive cycling group in this state. And I can understand why. You know, because basically there's only a few cities in Nevada that are sizable. You got Reno. I don't know how many people live in Reno now, like maybe a couple 100,000 or 500,000. I don't know. I know in Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas area, you know, we're looking at about 2 million people. And you got Laughlin, which is just a little gaming area on the Colorado River, right across from Bullhead City, Arizona. You know, and then you got Ely. I mean, how many people ride bikes in Ely? You know, so so we're, I guess, a quirky, weird state. I mean, most of the state is wilderness owned by BLM, and it's inhospitable, really, for, you know, commuters, like to ride your bike to work. I would never ride my bike to work. I'd have to ride 9 miles, risk my, you know, one way, risk my life every time I go to my job. It's hotter than Hades in the summer, and then in the winter you've got these biting cold winds like 20, 25 miles an hour nonstop. You know, so you freeze your butt off because that wind just blows through everything. And then you have like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year where it's nice, it's not windy, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. So, you know, we're a quirky state. But that's the one thing that we really, really need is driver education. You know, a couple weekends ago, a guy named Richard F. Trujillo was 56 years old, was one of the 3 people mowed down by a car in Henderson because of someone who was apparently, or appears to have been, driving distracted. Probably doing this or driving down the road going, oh, on their phone, and oh, and they run somebody over. You know, now that is a big problem all over the United States. but there sure as heck could be a lot more education, driver education about cyclists. Yes, it's okay for a cyclist to be on the street. That's like the number one thing. You know, look for cyclists. Cyclists and motorcyclists and pedestrians, it's like we're all invisible, you know. There really needs to be like some kind of strong campaign, like look for cyclists, look for pedestrians, look for motorcycles. Not everyone on the road is in a car. Okay? So, anyways, I just thought I would let you know about this bikeleague.org in case you're not familiar with it and how we scored here in Nevada. And I will put a link to this, to Nevada's report card and to bikeleague.org on the description below. So, anyways, thanks for watching and listening to me rant and rave about our cycling woes here in Nevada, and we'll see you on the next video.